Now we are in a position to understand and criticize the figures of national income accounting. These figures are fraught with an enormous problem, namely that so-called national income figures, such as the gross domestic product, are not gross figures, even if that term is used to refer to them. Gross domestic product figures, which are used in national income accounting and by politicians and economists to gauge what is happening in a country, include only the final stage of consumption, that 100-unit stage, and a very small part of the stages above, the part which corresponds to capital goods that reach their end users. What I am telling you is extremely important. What I am saying is that national accounting figures, like the concept of national income or gross domestic product, exclude from their computation the largest part of the nation's productive effort, that devoted to the earlier stages in the production process. And why is that? Well, it is an excrescence. Excrescence is an elegant academic word meaning a morbid outgrowth, from the economic theory of Keynes, who was bent on exaggerating the importance of consumption. To give you an idea, consumption accounts for 70% of GDP. In other words, it is the largest sector. So, it is reasoned, consumption is essential. That is why Keynesian economists and macroeconomists in general believe that when things are going wrong, it is time to encourage consumption. This is a very grave error, because as we already know, the vast majority of the productive effort put in by all of us and by companies etc. is not found in the consumption stage, but in the prior stages, which do not enter into the calculation of national accounting figures. Another argument offered for doing things this way is that it is an attempt to avoid double counting. In other words, if a capital good produced in a certain stage is ultimately incorporated into a consumer good, then if the income of all stages is added up, values are added together, one after the other, in duplicate. That is, these economists use a value-added argument. They say, in computing the GDP, we need consider only the value added, because otherwise we would be doubling or exaggerating the amount of income. But this argument is not sound either, because the carburetor produced in the third stage this year, assuming the carburetor company operates in the third stage, will be incorporated into a Pegaso truck that will be sold 2 years from now. If we suppose that there are 5 stages lasting 1 year each, and that the carburetor is produced in the third stage, then the carburetors this company produces this year will finally be incorporated into consumer goods in 2 years' time. A Pegaso truck sold this year undoubtedly has a carburetor, but it is not one of those produced this year. Of course, the value of the Pegaso truck sold this year reflects the value of everything, the wheels, the carburetor, and all the rest. But the carburetor is not one of those produced this year. Those will end up in Pegaso trucks sold 2 years from now. Do you see? So the value-added argument is invalid. National accounting figures are misleading. At one stroke, they eliminate most of the human entrepreneurial effort which the country's workers put in. These figures concentrate solely on, and duly exaggerate the importance of, final consumption and the capital goods which reach the end user. Yesterday, when Jordi Franch Parella was defending his doctoral dissertation, he compared the process of production with an iceberg. A person might focus only on the tip of the iceberg, which is above sea level, and say, that is consumption. Yes, but the social process of production is far more elaborate, and 4/5 of it is underwater and cannot be seen. The part underwater corresponds to the different stages further away from consumption. These stages provide jobs for most workers and entrepreneurs, and it is in these stages that the great expansions of the bubble period occur, as well as the great contractions which generate mass unemployment during the tightening period. The proof of this lies in the fact that Spain closed the year 2009 with a 3.5% drop in GDP. You may wonder how that can be possible. Do you know by how much the sales revenue of industrial companies from the stages far from consumption has fallen? 30%, not 3, 10 times more. If there had been only a 3% contraction in the economy, do you think the number of jobless people would have risen to almost 5 million? In fact, all of those unemployed people are from the stages far from consumption. the results of which do not enter into the computation of national accounting figures. Therefore, if we wish to have national accounting tools that enable us to analyze what is really happening throughout the cycle, it is vital that we replace the Keynesian concepts traditional up to now with others that include all the stages in the production process.